Hey, and welcome back to Without a Doubt, the podcast. I'm your host, Mad, a cycle breaker, entrepreneur, and sprinkle of reality. This podcast is a place where we celebrate living life authentically and organically as ourselves. We are the ones breaking cycles, making waves, and living out the truest versions of ourselves. So often we underestimate the value we hold. In specific moments, we don't realize how much our presence may illuminate a room or what we can actually bring to the table. If we don't actually communicate how we feel to each other or tell other people, we'll never actually let them know how much they do light up a room. Someone recently told me they wanted to give me flowers. Literally, they wanted to give me compliments. It wasn't anything even about actual real flowers. She just wanted to send me some love because she loved what I was up to and what I was doing. I think this is where so often in times, those are the things that we do need to hear. This is not the everyone deserves a trophy episode, but rather we deserve to take up space. We all deserve to be acknowledged. No, not every single person should get a participation trophy. But, we all possess different qualities, skills, and energy. We don't all fit into a nice, small, well-packaged box. But we also deserve a fucking clap. Maybe even a trophy. Or a fucking head nod when effort is being made or progress is actually happening. And I want you to take a second to think of the space you hold in general. Like, do you feel like a fly on the wall or maybe the center art piece in the gallery show? Maybe you just feel like, yeah, I'm here, I'm there. But no matter where you actually stand, lay, lie, sit, or be, you deserve to be there, taking up space. I guess in my mind, I'm thinking of the kid on the team that sucks at their sport, but they bring up the team morale. They have a ton to offer. Might not be to win the games, but if that player with that team morale wasn't there, you would feel it. They are a statement person in that moment. A while back, a client/friend of mine told me she took my classes at Orange Theory because I made her feel seen. That she was recognized and acknowledged. Even if she was way in the corner, I would acknowledge she was there. Was this partially my job? Sure. But I honestly always tried in my classes to be inclusive and touch, not physically, but in a cue or a name call-in, like "you got it, girl," or a song I knew that they loved. Like I said, this was my job, but I excelled at this. Like, this is one thing as a coach I got constantly clapped for. And I'll tell you why. Because I notice shit. I notice the space people hold, the value they bring. I notice their effort. I also know what it's like to feel invisible and unseen. And I know this, and I often have to remind myself of these important mental motions like that I do have for myself. For instance, this podcast. There are those of you who will write to me and let me know your feelings towards episodes. And then there are some of you who will listen and never tell me what you think. You'll be a silent listener forever, coming onto this podcast, taking what you need and allowing me to provide. But there's a whole side of a human being that we do like to be told good job, and maybe that's conditioning. But I think it's a matter of just being seen. And for me, being seen, or better yet, heard, how I know that is by this listener count that is consistently showing up, and that's you. So let me also say thank you. I love that you're here, and I would not be here without the consistent you listening in. For so many, validation lies in what other people feel for you. Validation might even lie for this podcast in the listens, the views on YouTube. With social media, the validation lies in likes, comments, engagements, those kind of things that you receive. How often do you feel undervalued for what you're putting out on social media if maybe you are a content creator? If you work a 9-to-5 job or you have a side hustle, how often do you feel that at your own job you get undermined? Maybe you feel like you never get told that you're doing a good enough job, they put too much stuff on your plate, you're not getting paid enough also, or that you're literally doing everything that you can and no one is seeing that. I think this is where it is so important to know what qualities you actually possess. You need to know what you bring to the table, because so often this validation leads to the question of, what space do I actually hold here? Is this person actually in need of my help? Do they really need me? Am I going to be missed if I don't show up? Am I really like a statement person in their life? By the way, this statement person thing came to me within the last few months. Someone told me I am a statement person. And then I had this whole thought process. Like, I am a statement person, but so often I feel like they won't really care if I'm not there, or don't know if I'm not there, won't miss me if I'm not there. Sometimes I forget that the space that I hold is actually greater than what I truly feel. And how often times does that maybe even ring true for you? Have you ever felt this way in certain situations? And I think this is where I need to remind you, like, hello, we are all statement people. The space that you hold in everyone's life is significant. Maybe it's a smaller piece of significance, or maybe you play a bigger part in their life. But I think what's most important is that you know the role or the space. I think it's important not to forget how great, or no matter how big it really is. I think we get so caught up on, well, I'm just a friend of a friend, or I'm just this. But you never realize how much you mean to somebody. Sometimes people will never even tell you. I think this is a really good time to talk about one of my friends. He was a news anchor here on one of our local channels for well over 30 years. He was loved and admired by many, but he took his own life about 5 years ago. When I tell you this guy was a light, he was brighter than any person I think I've ever met. He could outshine any person I knew, but he battled silently. You would never know. The space he took up in so many people's lives was so huge, so great, that even 5 years to his passing, people are still sharing stories about him, what they miss, and how he changed their life. He was a statement person. Remember I told you though, we are all statement people. We all hold significance to someone whether or not we even fucking know it. I have friends I no longer talk to, but those people have forever stuck with me. The spaces they hold in my heart, or the things they taught me, I will never forget. I think of one of my friends, Lou, every single time I wing my eyeliner. She taught me that in high school. I think of a friend who shared her expensive perfume. She'd give me a spray here or there when I went to visit the house. And I now buy that perfume and wear it all the time. I will never wear anything else. Sometimes when I see a brand of wine, I think of a certain friend, or when a song comes up, I think of one of my friends, Jasmine. There's a ton of people and places and things and memories that come up all the time. So often I'm doing things and something or someone will happen and that old friend comes across my mind. You sometimes don't even realize the space you hold. People, when they're gone, still hold space. I just cried today for a few moments about my friend who passed. I thought about the times that he would try to whip me at the gym with his towel, or he would shake his ass in my class, and the hugs that we gave each other, the high fives, and the phone calls that we shared. These memories hold a special place, and they hold a space. Like we do in every single person's life. We forget how significant sometimes. I also feel it's easy to feel alone, and no one understands us. I think sometimes this is where we need to seek professional help. Not just guidance from friends and family, but sometimes we need more than just an ear. We literally need coping mechanisms, or legitimately need someone that we can feel safe talking to. You have to feel seen and heard. In our lives, we are all just living, attempting to carve out paths that feel right to us. We're breaking cycles and making waves, which oftentimes will start riling up thoughts about your own worthiness and value. But I want to tell you how important you really are. I know we have battles in our lives. Dealing with each little fire that ignites and attempting to put them out one by one, it's like it almost never stops. In the weakest moments, the lowest, most vulnerable times where you feel like no one can see you tirelessly doing everything you can to manage the fires, to carve the path, to live out your life, you matter. You are the statement person, and you are significant. I hope you know that without a doubt, you are a badass. Don't you forget it, and if you do, I will be here again next week to remind you again and again and again. I thank you so much because you allow me to take up space and a place in your little bubble, in your world, in your big world, whatever you want to say it is. You allow that, and I appreciate you. So I have to give you some acknowledgement for that. Thank you for letting me be a part of that. Love you so much. XOXO, your girl Mad. See you next week.